because I know some people like to review a lot. So over here, we're just asking, oh, for some reason, I am not connected. Give me 1 second. This, I'm missing. Okay, I think. Oh, that's true. Okay, good. Okay, so is this going to be positive, negative, or no correlate? Oh, you can't even see it. Hold on a minute. Woo! Oh, I need to erase that tangent. Okay, so is the first one positive? Positive. What about you? Very good. So go ahead and start. We'll start graphing. But if all I'm asking, and there is, I know in the final exam, you don't have to graph it. They ask you just to look at the table. So without graphing, can we look at this table and tell whether it's negative or positive? As these numbers are going up, 80, 130, 300, 470, 550, these are heading up, correct? What's happening to these numbers? Are they going up or down? So what would this be? Negative. So technically, do we have to graph? Not really. If all I, now it did say construct, but really all I care about is if you could tell me if it's positive, negative, because that's what they have on the final exam. This would be a negative, and that's all you have to do for this one. Negative correlation. And all I had to do was look at the numbers, right? This is increasing 80, 130, 300, 470. Then these are decreasing. They're going down. Does everybody see that? And so that's all you have to do. Okay, so right here, the administration would like to poll students on what type of activities they would like to see during lunch next year. Here are two choices of gathering information. Determine which is biased and which is unbiased. The students who attend craft club were asked to fill out a questionnaire and name 3 activities that they are interested in. Is that biased or unbiased? It's biased because they're only choosing people who are already attending a craft, right? So this would be biased. So what about this next one? This is unbiased. And the key word here is what? Randomly. As long as it's totally random, then it'd be unbiased. Any questions on that one? Okay. Now it says number 5. A study looked at students who admitted to vaping nicotine products and their grade point averages. The data showed that those who vaped had lower grade point averages. Is this a correlation or a causation? Correlation. Vaping itself isn't going to affect your GPA, right? But probably students who tend to do that probably don't follow the rules because you're not supposed to do that when you are under 18. So it's a correlation. A study showed that those who regularly exercised at a gym had less BMI, body mass index, and this is to measure fat. Is this a causation or a correlation? Causation. Causation. The more you work out, the less fat you're going to have. I'm trying. Okay, so now this one, write the slope-intercept form of the equation through the given points. First, you're going to have to use slope formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, where this is x1, this is y1, this is x2, this is y2. So when I find slope, it's going to be 1 minus 3 over 2 minus negative 2, right? And so double negative makes that positive. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. And 2 plus 2 is 4. Tito, did you grab a do now? Yeah, you want to grab a do now. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So this is our slope, right? Now, our point we can use is this first point, and we are going to use the next formula, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So I substitute in y minus 3 is equal to negative 1 half x minus negative 2. And what happens with this double negative? Make that a plus. So I'm going to multiply this negative half to each one of these, right? And because I want it in slope-intercept form. Well, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to distribute. I get y minus 3 is equal to negative 1 half x. And a negative 1 half times 2 over 1 is just a negative 1. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. Divided by 2, because you multiply straight across, is equal to negative 1. This would be negative 1. And then I add 3 to both sides. And I get y is equal to negative 1 half x plus 2. And that's it. We're all going to do well on our test on Wednesday? We can do that? We did them on the board. We've been practicing these every day. Okay, what do you know about parallel lines and the slope? They're the same. So if I say, write in slope-intercept form the equation of a line described through 5 comma 1 parallel to y equals negative 2 over 5x minus 2, right? So what is going to be the slope? Negative 2 over 5, right? This is slope. What do I do with this minus 2? I ignore it. I don't even use it. So my slope is going to be the same because it's parallel. So I have negative 2 over 5 is my slope. I'm going to use my point slope form. So y minus, this would be x1, this would be y1. So minus 1 is equal to slope negative 2/5 x minus 5. I'm going to do the distributive property. So y minus 1 is equal to negative 2 over 5x. Now when I multiply, where should I multiply? Negative 2 over 5 times negative 5. You are right, Harley. This is just a positive 2. Because a negative times a negative is a positive. 2 times 5 is 10. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 goes into 10 2 times. And now I just add 1. And I get y equals -2 over 5x plus 3. Right? Okay. Number 9. Perp stands for perpendicular. So perpendicular lines, what's the relationship to the slope? Opposite sign and reciprocal, which means to flip. And reciprocal. I'm going to run out of room here. Reciprocal. Oh no, I ran out of room. But basically, they're opposite signs and you flip the fraction. So if this slope is a -2, the opposite of a -2 is positive. So we know that the new slope is going to be positive. If it's -2, that is like -2 over 1. So we flip the fraction. So it'd be 1 over 2. Now I just do the same steps. 1 minus -2 is equal to, which changes to positive, 1/2 x minus 2. I do the distributive property. Y plus 2 equals 1/2 x minus 1, because half of a -2 is a -1, minus 2. Y is equal to 1/2 x minus 3. And that would be the equation of a line that passes through a point and is perpendicular. Any other questions on that one? And so we're going to be good for the test because Miss Dawn makes you review, 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 review. Yeah, and you like that? I hope. I hope. Okay, so today we are going to do box and whisker charts, which are part of statistics. I know on the chart it may have said something different, but this is part of the statistics. Good? Everybody here have one? Comes in late, you're in charge. Give them one. Okay. So, when I calculate your grades, that is a statistic. We have weighted grades, but I take the average of your test scores and then I weight that heavier than your classwork, which also gets averaged, right? And then you're going to have either a final exam or a final exam project. Now, usually when we do averages, that's considered a mean, where you add them all together and divide by how many you have, right? Today, we're going to be looking at medians. Medians are different than means. Medians are when you list the numbers from least to greatest and you find the middle number. Now, why do you think sometimes we would want to use medians instead of averages? Well, a big reason is, let's say if I look right now at my averages for test grades, they don't look that great because I have a lot of people that have not attended and have a 0 for their score. And of course, that pulls down all the other scores, right? But if I were to list from least to greatest and then find the middle number, then all of a sudden my class looks a lot better because a lot of you did very well on the test. Does that make sense? So if you were a realtor looking at areas, let's say you're in a subdivision and somebody, for some reason, built a multi-million-dollar home, but all the other houses are like 150,000. That's going to skew the average price because of that big number, right? So a lot of times we will look at median, where we list them from least to greatest and find the middle, and that gives us a better idea of the value of the homes in that area. And a lot of times salaries are the same way. Like if you listed all the salaries in this building of the people who work here and go from least to greatest, you would use the median, because somebody who works part-time may skew that number because their salary is very little. Or the director may make a whole lot more than the teachers, and then that could skew it the other way. So medians are safer bets for when you get real big numbers or real small numbers in the mixed. Does that make sense? Okay. So box and whisker charts are a way to display medians. Okay, can we put the phones away, because there's no reason to have phones out right now. Some of the vocabulary you're going to need is lower quartile. What do you think of quartile? What number comes to your mind? Quartile, or what money comes to your mind? Quarters, which quarters is 1 out of 4, right? So the lower quartile would be the lower fourth of the data. The upper quartile would be the upper fourth of the data. Does that make sense? Because lower means small, upper would mean larger. A box and whisker plot, I'm going to show you some examples. It's just a way to put numbers to a chart so that way we can see medians fairly quickly. What does minimum mean? What do you think minimum? The least. So the smallest number in the list of numbers would be a minimum. So like if you were thinking about my grades for the last test, I have a few zeros because I have people who never took the test. And so the 0 would be the minimum. Now I had a maximum. Did I have a bonus? Yeah, I had a bonus. I think the maximum on this test was 104%, because I did have somebody who got 100% and got the bonus. Does that make sense? Okay. So this is what a box and whisker chart looks like. A box and whisker plot shows the distribution of data. The middle half of the data is represented by a box with a vertical line at the median. The box extends to the upper and lower quartiles. The upper quartile is the median of the upper half of the data. The lower quartile is the median of the lower half of the data. So see here how the box ends. So you have a big rectangle, right? And it ends at the lower quartile and the upper quartile. This in the middle here is the median. Now, sometimes the median is in the middle. Sometimes it could be skewed up to here. Put here. My test, if I did it like this, would probably be skewed. The median would be like up here for the people who actually took the test, because a lot of you did very well. Does that make sense? Okay, now do you see these dots on the ends? This is the minimum, and this over here is the maximum. And you may want to write that because I don't think, I mean, we will be, oh, maybe it does it right here. No, it still didn't say it. But on one of these, you could put minimum would be around the 78, maximum would be the 92. Okay. Do I have the same one twice? Oh, it just talked about the different values. We already talked about minimum and maximum, right? Okay, I can go to the next. So I'm going to show you how to find the median of these numbers here. I'm actually going to go through all the steps and actually draw the box and whisker chart for you because you'll have to do that today. Okay? So, right here, if I'm going to order the numbers from least to greatest, what's the smallest number in that list? 79. And I kind of cross them off as I go along because I have bad eyes. What's the next one? 87, 88, 89, 91, and 93. So, what's the minimum? Good. What's the maximum? Okay, to find the median, it's going to be 89. It's the number that's in the middle. See here how I have I have 3 below? 1, 2, 3 numbers below. And over here I have 3 numbers above. 1, 2, 3. So that makes this the middle number. Basically, I'm like if I fold it in half. Okay, so what's going to be the lower quartile? 87. So this is median. This is lower quartile. What's the upper quartile going to be? 92. So when you do your line to start drawing to do the box and whisker charts, I'll do it like right here. You have to have the same increments. You could start at any number, but you're going to have the same increments, like counting by tens or counting by fives. What would you recommend? If I started at 79, think I could start like at 70, right? And then maybe 75, and then 80, 85, 90, 95. That look good? Yeah. Okay, so how you do this, I always start with the median. So the median is going to be about right here, right? And the lower quartiles at 87. Oop, maybe I'll scoot that one over just a bit to give myself a little bit more room because those numbers were a little close. So I will have 87, or here's 89, here's 87, right? And then 92 would be about right here. And then 93 is going to be over here. And then 79 would be way over here. And so I'm going to draw my box. And then here would be the median. And then here's the whiskers. And that's why it's called box and whiskers. Because you have a box, and then you have whiskers coming out, like a cat has whiskers. That one should have been in just a bit more. So do you see how you do a box and whiskers? Okay, so I want you all to work together, and here's your list of numbers, and try it for yourself. And go ahead and actually draw out the box and whiskers if you have enough room. I had enough room, I think. Did I have enough room? Oh no, I didn't draw out the box and whiskers. I found my median. And if you want straight edges, I do have under in that green bin there. Somebody moved a bunch of my stuff. Oh. If you are confused, raise your hand. I can help you out. From least to greatest first. You have to rewrite these. You have to order them from least to greatest. Always first. Five, then 86. Oh, you skipped it. So cut 90, 92, and then here's the middle number. And then what's the middle of this one? So down here, which is the middle one. Circle that one. And then circle this one. Okay, so 98, you need to put top. There you go. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. You can help them out. Or did you write them from least to greatest? So you had 86. And then you have 92. Yeah, that looks good. Mhm. That's okay. That's the way I do. You can that doesn't matter. Okay, so now good. You have them listed, and so 65 would be where your dot is at. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Mhm. Mhm. Yep. It's skewed a little bit, isn't it? That's okay. Mhm. Mhm. Well, where's 74? Yeah, that's gonna be the there. This would be your median. This is a quartile. That's a quartile. And then there's the maximum. 98 would be right here. So a median is this one here. You didn't have it. What's this? Okay, you erased that. Sorry, I messed up your box. Okay. Okay. Yeah, because look at mine. Yeah. People like them from least to greatest first of all. Good. And that is your median. Okay, where's your lower quartile? That's the end of your box, so draw a line there.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay, and so now I get 92. Okay.
And this gets connected.
Okay.
For your whiskers like that.
So this goes.
Uh-huh. There you go. You got it?
I thought that I was supposed to count these out to.
And we can just estimate it as long, see, I just did it by five, I didn't do every student. On the test, you don't draw. You will be drawn for your homework assignments, not for the test. Right?
Okay. Are we
Does
doing
that
this
make?
one too now or wait for this one?
I was gonna do that one.
Okay.
How are we doing over here? Did everybody understand it? I actually taught this in middle school. I don't know why it's an algebra one standard, but it is. I thought it. Yeah, and then we draw the chart. And Harley, you need to learn to draw the chart too. Okay, how do we do over here? And did you draw your chart? Okay, but it needs to have a box. Yours is beautiful. Yours looks better than mine. Nice and neat. Can I share with your table what it looked like? Okay. Oh, look at how beautiful yours is. Yes, yes. Very good. Very good. Okay, everybody understand? numbers here need to be equal though. If you don't mind, I just want my fives. So whenever you have these, they have to be like going in same intervals. So that way they can tell the numbers. But, so that's the only thing I would change here is here. Okay? Okay, so when we listed them from least to greatest, right? The smallest number was 65. The largest number was 98. What was the median? 86. And then what was the upper quartile? And then what was the lower quartile? So when you draw your line for these, just make sure you're doing equal intervals though, okay? So like I counted by fives. So when I had my line under here, I would have counted by fives. So I may have started out like 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90. Yeah, I'm kind of off on my 90 right now. But I would do the line first and then figure out how I'm going to do my interval. And it'll change depending on what you're doing. Okay? So, now this one here is your next one, right? And it gave you a table. I did this to show you how you would lay it out. So if I had a litter size of 2, but only one of those litter sizes, so this is kittens having kitty cats, right? So only one kitten or one cat had 2 kittens. This one, 6 cats had 3 kittens. So I have 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 8 cats had 4 kittens. So I had 8 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 11 cats had 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then 1 cat had 6. So if I were to find the median, what do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 27. So half of 26 is 13, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Here is the middle one. There's 13 below, and there should be 13 above. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, right? Okay. So where would the lower quartile be? If there's 13 below, it'd be 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This would be lower quartile. This is median. And then upper quartile, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 would be right here. And then this would be the minimum, and this would be the max. So, but if I were to draw this out, for this one, since the numbers are pretty small, I could start and do, let me draw a line here. I could just do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And let me just change my color. So at 2 would be the minimum. The box for the lower quartile will start there. My median is right here. My upper quartile would be right here. And then my max would be there. And that's how it would look. Questions on that one? No. And this one just walked you through it. Okay? Now, I am going to have you draw a few of them just so you understand for your homework. But on your test, it will be multiple choice. Okay? So I'll give you a list of numbers and then different box and whisker charts, and you're picking the correct box and whisker. Here, what does each letter stand for? What does A stand for in this chart? It would be medium. What about B? Yep, lower quartile. What about C? Up, oh, it should be just UQ for upper quartile. What about D? Right, but which one? Is that the max or the min? Max. What about E? Minimum. And F. That's interesting. If this is the lower half here, and this is the upper half here, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. You have, I don't know the correct term, but you have a good portion of most of your data is in this box. I think it's supposed to be the half of your data, I believe, or your 50%. On the inside here, I believe it's 50% of your data is on the inside. Because it ends up being 25%, 25%, 25%, 25%. So I believe F is 50% of the data. But I don't know what they are wanting. I don't know what word they want there actually. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. So you know that the median of data sets the data into lower half and upper half. The median of the lower half is the lower quartile. The median of the upper half is the upper quartile. We already talked about that. Okay, why do we need to know how to display and analyze data in a box and whiskers plot? So why would we need to know this? It's just if anybody gives you a bunch of data as a box and whisker, you need to know how to do that, right? Anybody here ever use Excel charts? Excel? Okay. So Excel has a box and whiskers. This is the answer to the first one on your worksheet because the numbers were so big, I wanted to do it for you. So how I did this was I actually just, if I can move this chart, can I move it? Well, let me move it. Okay, yes. I typed in the numbers, okay? So all I did is type in all the numbers. Did I even put them in order? No. And I highlighted it, and then I went to insert, and then I went to charts, and I went to all charts, and guess what's on here? Box and whiskers. And so it created it for me. However, this one goes vertical instead of horizontal. I always didn't understand why Excel did it that way, but that's just the way Excel does it. So Excel's box and whiskers goes this way, while the ones we have been drawing goes this way. Isn't that interesting? Can you all see these numbers or are they too little? They're probably way too little. I wonder if I can get the view on view. Ah, zoom. I'm clicking the wrong button. Okay, so those were the numbers I typed in. And then this is the chart. On our chart, it shows the highest number is right here. So that's called the maximum. Then it had the start of your box here, which would be called your upper quartile. I'm trying to move this over. Okay. So this would be the upper quartile. And this is your median. And this is lower quartile. And this is, in fact, I think what they did is I think they threw this one kind of out and gave, because it was so much more than the others, since that was called an outlier. I think it did a little bit more math than what we did. Okay, does that make sense? Yes, no, maybe? So if it's in Excel, it'd be nice for you to know this. This is the answer for your first one because the numbers were so big. I felt bad that I put that on the homework assignment. So all you're doing today is, and you can sketch this, you may not have enough room here. You may have to use a separate sheet of paper and staple it. So you, right here, and I'm going to go through number one with you, but I also have to show you how to do numbers when you have even sets. Because so far we've just done odd sets. So I guess I should finish this one before we start this, because now that I'm walking around doing this, I'm gonna finish. Is that okay? Okay, you're gonna have to wait until I'm done teaching and then I'll do that. Okay, so this one is, this shows you the answer, except for that one that's really, really big, where your minimum was 1033. Your lower quartile is 24221. Median. This is your upper quartile, and then they did two sets of data. I'm kind of confused on why. I think they threw out that 261, just 1,000, because it was so big. Ugh. Yes, and if you look over here, how they counted was by 50,000s. Yeah, that's what they did for this one. But I was gonna get that too. And then a minute here, I'll let you write this down just because I have it up there. You may need a separate sheet of paper, or you can use the back, even though some of the answers are on the back, to do these. But I do want to go over what do we do when we have an even set of numbers. You still can't see it? I don't know if I can make it a whole lot bigger with that. Let's see. I know Here, Dana, you can use my numbers right here. Mine's different, but you can use mine since you're struggling with seeing. Now, I did it differently. I just said thousands, and then I just put the numbers there. So go ahead and let her look at that. Yeah, so there's not like one specific way to do the graph. I did mine, I just said in thousands and then did 0 to 30, and then I counted by 30,000s. But I still listed the numbers from least to greatest.
So we're just,
Well,
we're putting these numbers from least to greatest.
yeah,
Okay.
that's it. Just like what we've been doing. This is just what the graph looked like, but they do it vertical instead of horizontal. But I also wanted to show you that it's in Excel because, yeah. Okay. Oh, I didn't want to get out totally. Oh. And since I went around, but I want to show you what to do when you have an even set of numbers. So when you have an even set of numbers, we're still going to list them from least to greatest, right? Here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? To get the median, you're going to have to add these two together and then divide by 2. Because I don't have a direct median, so you take the average. So what's 77 plus 79 divided by 2? What's 77 plus 79 divided by 2? What's in the middle of 77 and 79? 78, right? 77 plus 79, press enter, and then divide by 2. Did you get 78?
Yes.
Doesn't it make sense that 78 is in between 77 and 79? Yeah. Okay, but what about 63 and 75? Because I don't have a middle again here, I'm going to have to add these together and then divide by 2 to find the lower quartile. What's 63 plus 75 divided by 2? Yeah. And then the next one would be 79 plus 88 divided by 2. So what's 79 plus 88? And then divide that by 2. You do get a decimal. 83.5. Now this here would be the median. This would be your lower quartile. This would be your upper quartile, right? What would be the minimum? Minimum is going to be 61. What's going to be the maximum? 99. So if you were going to draw a line, how would you distribute the data from 61 to 99? What would you choose? Because this is going to be up to you. There's not going to be a right or wrong. You just have to lay it out. So if here's my line to start making my data. I'm just going to erase just give myself a little bit more room. I'll put this up here. Upper quartile, right? And this is maximum. Okay, so where would you start? And where would you end? 60? Yep, that's where I would start. 60. And this would be what, 100? And then what would you do? 20s? 15s? 5s? It's up to you. 10s? I could do 10s. How about 10s? 60, 70. Ooh, would this be right? Probably not. I may want to erase this one. 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Do those look about even? No. Oh, I didn't want to do that. I'll probably move this one over just a tad bit, right? So 60, 70, 80, 90. Is that good? Okay, so then you would do my minimum would be 61, would probably be about here. My lower quartile, which that's going to start my box, would be about there. My median would be somewhere about here. My 83.5 would be somewhere about, this would be middle, so it'd be about here. Right? And then 99 would be about here. There's the whisker. There. You see that? Okay. So when you have even numbers, you split it into two, and then you're going to have to do averages to find your quartiles. Does that make sense or not make sense? You'll have to add together, divide by 2 from the numbers that are next to each other. Make sense or doesn't make sense? Yes? No? Can you list them from least to greatest? You don't have, I'm going to give you some just to practice, but on the test, it'll be multiple choice and you're picking the correct one. That's the answers. Mm-hmm. Number 5. I don't know. Did you list them from least to greatest first? Let's see. Okay, so 42, 43, 45. You have those two mixed up. There's no 44. Okay, but what is this one? 46. Oh, that's 46. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'd have to do it. Let me stop this really quick and I'll sit down.